Good afternoon. Appreciate Jared and Alyssa coming over for the press conference on issue 7, and I'm joined by Commissioner Hutson. I'd also like to thank Councilman Paul Rose is here, Councilman at Large, and State Representative Steve Hambley. Appreciate you both being here as well. I think what I'd like to do is start first. Commissioner, if you could give an overview of where this all began and how the court was identified, I think would be a good start.
Approximately 3 years ago, the county did a review of all of its real estate assets, both leased, owned, and identified the needs of each facility so that we had a long-term facility plan and capital improvement plan. We identified the courthouse as the facility that was in need of the most significant renovation and most significant improvement. And following that, we invited the city of Medina to participate. Mayor Hanwell sat in, and we decided and did a feasibility study for the courthouse site. Because the conversation at that time was that we would do a joint courthouse between the city and the county. So we retained Branstetter Carroll. They did a feasibility study that simply looked at approximately how much space both entities would need for their courthouse, and then would a building of that size fit on the current courthouse site. The feasibility study came back. It gave us an estimate of approximately $38 to $40 million to build the facility, and we determined that it would fit on the site of the current county courthouse. We again employed Branstetter Carroll to begin more specific planning and design for the facility. And we have been partnering with the city of Medina ever since to come up with a facility that would satisfy the needs both for the county long-term and also for the city long-term. We have a design that is right over here to my left that we feel will accommodate those needs. The initial budget that we had set back several years ago was $38 million, $30 for the county and $8 million for the city. And the current estimate for the facility that we have represented over here is $38 million. So, Dennis?
Thank you. So the County Facilities Committee that was originally established that the Commissioner described, I was the sole representative of the city of Medina on that panel. When we began talking about a possibility of a joint court operation, it seemed imperative to me that we had a council representative as well as those talks began, and the council president assigns those committees. And I reached out to Council President John Coyne, and he determined that he personally would serve on that committee as the discussions then moved forward. Just to recap, the Commissioner mentioned the budget numbers. So not only are the needs of both the municipal court and county courts today and into the future being met, but they're also being met within the budget constraints that both the county and the city put together for Branstetter and Carroll. There are, if you look at the pictures there to my left, to your right, you'll see that the existing buildings remain intact. All three, the prosecutor's office, the 1969 building, and the oldest courthouse on the square. The new construction will be behind the 1969 building and the oldest courthouse, and then adjoin to where there's access from the new building into the old building. And that's important for everybody to understand, because there is a fear in the community that it's going to change the look that's there today. And if you look at if you look at those pictures, we've worked very hard to ensure that that side of the square would look very similar and well, would look exactly the same, and the new building would be behind it. And slightly above it, as you can see above the 69 building on the one on the far left, where you can see just the top of the building there. A yes vote on issue 7. First of all, issue 7 is only in the city. It's not for the rest of the county voters to even consider. So only the city voters are deciding whether or not money should be spent on this facility by the Medina City Council. As a result of that, a yes vote on issue 7 means that the city residents do not want the city to partner with the county and restrict them from doing so. Sir, this is a media.
Oh, well, there was a note on the Facebook page that said it was a public meeting.
No, there wasn't.
No, this is a meeting. Okay, it's not a public meeting?
It's not.
No. Oh, okay.
You were told that by email. Well, Pat was told that by email.
That's right. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I was told that it was on the website. So it's,
I need your link, sir.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, if you don't want to hear the facts from the people,
Sir, I need
I guess that shows what kind of people you are. Thank you very much.
So a yes vote on issue 7 means that the city residents do not want to partner with the county and save taxpayer dollars, both city and county. A no vote means that the city may participate, may collaborate, and may save taxpayers dollars, not only today, not only for the construction, not only for the new facility, not only for the design, but well into the future for likely 50 years. That we hope this building will last us. The city has already invested approximately $200,000 into this project, and if the city is prohibited from taking part further, obviously that money will be wasted. And in my mind, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the city of Medina. If you look across the state, there are not projects like this, except one other county was able to accomplish it. And the reason for it is generally to have 7 council members, the judges, both county and municipal, and 3 county commissioners, as well as the administration of the city, to all come together and agree in scope and project and design just generally doesn't happen. So in my mind, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where all 3 county commissioners have unanimously agreed with the project. All 7 council members, our municipal judge, and the majority of the common pleas judges are all supportive of same. The city, if we don't take part with the county, is going to have to spend our dollars to do something with our municipal court. It's not like our problems go away. The municipal court needs of the city have been talked about for over 2 decades, both when I was the police chief and now as the mayor. Our council is very much aware that our existing court is not the space we need, is not meeting some of the safety standards and requirements of the Ohio Supreme Court, and the county faces some of those same issues at the Common Pleas Court. And what this new facility does is meet all of those standards, meet it within budget, and have a variety of shared spaces. And some of those are the hallways, the restrooms, the security checkpoint, the sally port to bring prisoners from the jail so that they remain in the building and aren't outside at a risk of escape, meeting rooms, parking, building mechanicals, and elevators. If we do this jointly, we can share all of those things as opposed to having a security checkpoint there and here, as opposed to having elevators there and then having to redo our building and add elevators on our side. So a lot of this is based on cost savings. Another question seems to be, if the city isn't involved in the project will stop. And I would ask Commissioner Hutson, sir, if you would address that question.
Certainly. Thank you, Dennis. The county commissioners are committed to building a new courthouse to satisfy the county's needs for today and well into the future. In the event that Issue 7 were to pass and the city had to pull out of the partnership that we have here, the county commissioners will continue to move forward with building a new courthouse specifically for the county court system. So we have the ability to afford the financing and the debt service that would be required to build the structure. We have the statutory authority to move forward because the commissioners are required to provide county facilities for all county departments. And the county intends to move forward to execute that statutory responsibility. I'd also add, maybe this is a good point, that in the planning process, the county commissioners have always steadfastly maintained that we would keep the 1840s, the iconic court structure, and not demolish that. There was never any question that the county commissioners were going to preserve that part of the courthouse. As planning moved forward, we had looked at the 1969 addition to the courthouse, the most recent addition, and we looked at and evaluated options to demolish that building. But the county commissioners have decided that that structure will remain, and so the appearance on the square, on the east side of the square, will remain as it is today. All of the buildings from the 1841 to 1969 and what is often referred to as the Sturgis Funeral Home will remain.
Thank you, Commissioner. So as the Commissioner stated a little bit earlier, the project cost is combined $38 million, $30 million for the county and $8 million for the city. Now the city, through the efforts of former municipal court judge Dale Chase, through fees collected at the municipal court, already has in reserve approximately $4.3 million in court fees. So that's over half of our project there. Judge Warner, our current municipal court judge, has agreed to reinstate those fees to gather another $1.8 million, and the city council already has $1.8 million in our capital reserve fund that are for capital projects like this. So the city has the money on hand, or will have the money on hand to complete this project with funding. Another issue that I would like to talk about is the benefit to the public. It's not unusual that people appear over at the Common Pleas Court and look for the municipal court, or they come to City Hall looking for the Common Pleas Court, or the municipal court looking for the Common Pleas Court. And there are times for attorneys that they have to be at a hearing at, for argument's sake, 9 a.m. at the municipal court and 9:30 or 9:45 at the Common Pleas Court. So from a public perception as well as operationally, it's a lot easier if they have to go down the hall or up a floor, down a floor, to stay within those time constraints of the various courts, trying to keep their dockets moving within the limitations the courts have by statute. It also uses the existing parking deck there. It frees up the current municipal court to be used for other services. In fact, one of the discussions we've had with the county, which is leasing the space for the Board of Elections currently outside of the city of Medina, is to bring those folks back over if the municipal court would work. There's a great deal of storage available in the basement for the machines. It would bring that income tax back into the city, as well as have more of the county operations near the county administration, near the square, all of which benefits the economic well-being of our downtown. Having all of the operations on the square right now, folks from the municipal court, if they're going to get in their car and have to drive somewhere, whether they go to the square or they go somewhere else to eat, having them on the square, not having to move their cars and they can walk somewhere to eat is much more conducive, not only for the employees, for the lawyers, and for those that are being serviced by the court day in and day out. Those coming to hearings, those jurors, all of those things are very beneficial, having all of the operations on the square. In fact, in my mind, it made a good deal of sense, maybe even to have Wadsworth Municipal Court, get in on this and have a combined court system, but at least at this point in time, there was not interest in the Wadsworth Municipal Court of relocating and coming up here. The last thing I would like to mention is Commissioner Hutson and myself, along with Branstetter and Carroll, offered to meet with the Savior Courthouse Committee to go over these drawings, to go over the plans, and to inform them so that there was no misunderstanding at all that nothing was being torn down and what the outside was going to look like. And that meeting was refused by that organization. The same organization that busted into the press conference here after they were sent an email and told that it was not a public meeting and it was for the media alone. So that I just want to share with you. Commissioner, anything else?
Yes, I'd also add there has been some concerns about the design of the courthouse in terms of future expansion. The courthouse has been designed to allow additional courtrooms in both the Common Pleas General Division, the Domestic Relations Division, the Juvenile and Probate Division, and there's also accommodations for an additional judge in the Medina Municipal Court areas. So there is opportunity to accommodate as the county grows and the needs of the county demand to have additional judges and additional courtrooms, and that has always been part of the planning process. We intended to look out as far as we could see into the future to anticipate the growth of the county and what the needs are going to be well into the future, and we think that we've accommodated all of those in these plans.
Okay, that is basically what we had hoped to cover. So now if there are questions from Bob, Alyssa.
Yeah. Did you discuss how it's confusing the yes and no vote?
On the paper, we indicated that as well as in our discussions just a little bit before you were here, that a no vote means the city will be permitted to participate with the county. A yes vote on issue 7 means that the city will not be able to participate. And I agree that it is confusing. Yes, sir.
It's confusing to me when I looked at the ballot.
Yes, sir.
And I knew what it said, but I still...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's been one of the questions we've had pretty regularly, both the city council and myself. Questions, Alyssa?
You mentioned that all council and a lot of the judges were in favor of this. Was there any kickback along the way in this process, or has everybody pretty much been on board since
Well, as you can imagine, with elected officials, the administration and the council are looking at budget numbers, and the judges both the municipal judge and the county judges. I will let Commissioner Hutson speak more of the county judges, but they all are looking at not only their needs today, but their future needs and trying to predict as case volumes grow, how much room they're going to need. And sometimes that's a kind of a give and take back and forth as to, you know, what can we afford, but B, what'll still suit the needs. And it's taken us a while to get from where we started. I mean, the first one that came out was well over $38 million. And then we had to pare it down some. We had to look at squeezing some of the rooms a little bit smaller, reconfiguring some things, it was important for the municipal court to be all on one level versus have the clerks on one level and then the judge and the hearing rooms on another level. And we were able to accomplish that by moving some of the other things. So it's been kind of an ebb and flow, but overall, from my perspective, I think everybody was respectful of the desire of keeping it within budget, keeping it as constrained as we could, but to still meet the needs. Commissioner.
Yes, on the county side, the general division, common pleas judges, and the juvenile probate judges worked closely together and shared information. Information was shared with the domestic relations judge. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of feedback from that court. But all of the users in the court, including the clerk of courts, adult probation, security from the sheriff's standpoint, were given the opportunity to look at the plans, comment on the plans, and give feedback all along throughout the whole process.
And that's a good point, because Nancy, our clerk of courts at the municipal court, is separately elected as well, Nancy Abbott. So her input was integral as well. How much space she needed, how many clerks' windows she needed, those type things. So it wasn't just the judge making the decision for everybody. It was the judge and Nancy together.
Mayor, would you say it would be a major setback if the city can't be involved in this project?
I think Commissioner Hutson and I don't think Commissioner Hutson and I are both very conservative and very frugal. And for us to not collaborate and waste taxpayer dollars, my taxpayer dollars, your taxpayer dollars, both from a city and a county standpoint, just in my mind does not make good sense. I shared before you got here, Bob, that most other counties can't do this. There was only one that we found that was able to collaborate on a project such as this. And the reason for that is to try to align the 3 commissioners, the 7 council members, and in our case, 5 different judges, as well as the administration of the city, to all get on the same page. And we've worked very hard at that. We've had give and take from all sides, and in my mind, the square looking exactly as it does today, meeting the needs of the courts, saving money for the county and city taxpayers is the right way to go. Commissioner.
Long term, this will benefit both the city and the county immensely. It's one thing to build a facility, and I think that there are economies in building a larger facility and housing both entities in that, but also from an operating standpoint going forward, because you're not going to duplicate security, for instance. You're going to have the sheriff there that will provide security for the entire facility, and you're not going to have as many city officers involved. So there are a lot of efficiencies in terms of the size of the facility and having a larger facility from an operating standpoint. So utilities, heat, gas and electric, and so forth should be economized better than having 2 separate facilities. So there will be long-term savings, and there's one thing that I noticed as I came into this room, and I think it's worthy of mention. If you look at the city's logo here, the tagline at the bottom says "Preserving the past and forging the future." And I think in this design, we have preserved the past. We're keeping the courthouse in its entirety, and we are forging a good future with this new addition to the courthouse. And I think it'll be excellent for both the city and the county working forward.
If you cannot be involved in it, would you renovate the muni court over here? Or is
That's undetermined at this point. I mean, we have to do something with the municipal court, but the vote itself may not be the end of the legal process of this. That's yet to be determined.
What is some of, I don't know if confusion is the right term, but with some of the residents who might not be in favor of this, what's it been like working with them and trying to communicate with them about this project?
Well, once we have a dialogue like this with them, most of them that I've talked to seem to think this makes good sense. I think the fact that the organization saying save the courthouse is leading some voters to believe that the courthouses are going away when that is not the fact. And in fact, they're still putting postcards out with information that says save the courthouse. The courthouse is saved. The courthouse has been saved for months. Yet that message keeps getting sent. And if a voter is hearing it for the first time and they're seeing a committee that says we're here to save your courthouse and they don't know the facts, that becomes confusing for them. And we're doing everything in our power to try to reach as many people as we possibly can with information like that flyer that we provided that has each of the council and my signatures on, with the ballot language, with what a yes vote means, with what a no vote means, and try to do the best we can to inform them in a very short period of time, because voting started earlier this week.
I would add that one of the misleading statements that they are making is that this is a $60 million project as opposed to a $38 million project. And when you go out and buy a car and you finance the car, if you buy a $30,000 car, you say, I bought a $30,000 car. You don't go and tally up all the interest and include that in your capital cost. It's misleading to do that. And in their calculations, the way they have depicted this project, they're anticipating all of the interest and loading that up front and saying that it is a $60 million project as opposed to a $38 million project. In fact, it is a $38 million project.
And if the city can't be involved, the county's still going to go ahead with everything? Would you still leave room for them to jump in at a later date?
Bob, the county intends to move forward. So instead of a $38 million project, it'll be scaled back to a $30 million project, which is our share of that overall budget. And what we have talked with the architects about is that if the city has to pull out, we will simply take a floor off the building and lower it by one floor, and then we'll put county operations in the area that the Muni Court would have otherwise occupied. But our intent is to move forward with both renovations and in addition to the courthouse.
Good, Bob? Good, Alyssa? Jared? No questions?
Well, I guess just the main point of touching on again, that the facades that are there now still remain, and the building is actually behind it. I think that's a lot of, as you said, that's confusion with the voters, and then
Correct.
also the same reiterating the voting stance.
Right. So
Yeah,
what, I'm sorry, sir. what you see there today is what you will see when this is done. I mean, that was the whole point of these renderings. And I was on vacation here recently, and I missed the meeting on September 21st, so I came back and these were up outside of the council office, and I had to look twice to see the building behind, because when you look at it, you know, you can see just the crown of the windows and the capstone at the top of the one on the furthest left. You see, as you move closer to the building, which is the depiction in the center, you see even less of that. And when you look at it from the southeast corner, or southwest corner, at least from the county buildings there, it's hard to see at all. And that was done intentionally by the architect, because we knew one of the issues was people did not want to lose what they were used to looking at on the east side of the square, from the gazebo, from the park, from Court Street. They wanted it to look the same. That looks pretty much the same to me.
And Jared, I would clarify that we're not only maintaining the facades of all the buildings, we are actually maintaining the entire building. The plan is that the 1841 sections of the courthouse will be renovated, and part of the Muni court operations will be inside there, and the 1969 portion of the courthouse will eventually be renovated, and there will be other county functions that we have yet to determine. But there are functions that are located in West Washington, 120 West Washington Professional Building, that we would dearly like to relocate out, including the court mediation program, and that facility would be an excellent place for that.
Okay, we'd just like to thank you all for coming and having an interest in it. And when you're writing the stories, if there are other questions that come along, Commissioner Hutson and I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.